Alright everyone, have you heard the new internet killing concept? This time it's not coming from a Silicon Valley giant, although it would definitely be aided by them. If recent history is any indicator, the Silicon Valley big tech firms are no longer standing for free speech like they did even a few years ago. They've totally abandoned it in the wake of the 2016 election because they're panicky. They're panicky about the possibility that the tax code will be restructured and they'll lose their corporate monopolies. That's what this all boils down to on their end. It's not coming from the EU. They've got their copyright directive, and Juncker saying, we want all extreme content removed within an hour or we'll fine you up the ass. And it's like, yeah, but what do you consider extreme over in the EU? The concept of borders is considered a form of Nazi extremism over in most of the EU states. By the way, we're going to be talking about Hungary gaining a few allies at the moment because of their struggle against the stupidity of Brussels. I hope it rips the EU apart before they can pass their copyright directive. I hope it collapses the EU out of existence so we don't have to keep dealing with this bullshit from the other side of the pond that's beginning to affect US content creators. But now it's coming from the UK too, which is proof positive. I mean, Europe has problems without the EU. You don't have to be in the EU to have a dumb government. Most of these Western European governments are dumb anyway. So you've got a dumb local government, a dumb national government, and a dumb layer of post-nationalism on top of it all, making it even more dumb. It's layers upon layers upon layers of being stupid. That's really what's happened in the UK as well. Now you've got an MP there from their Labour Party. To all U.S. individuals, Labor is beyond far left. We would consider them to be beyond Bernie Sanders, which they basically are in an ideological fashion. Used to be apparently like the equivalent of a union sort of movement, like, you know, the working class and stuff. But isn't that what the Democrats here were decades ago? They get dragged further and further to the left. That's basically what's happening. One of their Labour MPs came out and said, oh, I've got a bright idea. Let's ban the concept of closed, like secret forums where people can get together. If this were to pass, no more Discord for UK residents. No, you might be plotting some form of hate or extremism. You might be plotting to develop an assault butter knife. That's basically what they're worried about. Now, the first problem is that you can't really ban closed forums. It's going to be impossible. There will always be pockets of the web that are closed off to the outside world. Number one, it's unenforceable. Number two, the MP is specifically saying here, well, this isn't censorship, which is disingenuous. It is censorship. This is just sort of like the same standards. We just want to make sure that people are saying things that are true. They're not circulating like fake stuff, like I guess, unkind memes about the Labour Party or something. Could that possibly be what she's talking about? We want to make sure they're not spreading falsehoods or hate or something. We're just going to hold them to the same standards we hold journalists. Oh, really? The free press of the UK? You mean the free press that can be legally muzzled for days at a time about talking about a legal case, like the Tommy Robinson case? Yeah, your press totally isn't censored. That's not censorship at all. You don't have a free press. You have a censored press. What other definition can you give to the word censorship other than a scenario like you've got in the UK? How is it not censorship for the UK's government to tell its citizens, no, you cannot meet together in large groups online without being publicly identifiable because we are cowards. We're terrified that you'll have original ideas that are wrongthink. We gotta crack down. Big Brother is watching. Don't worry. The eyes are always upon you to keep you safe from the evil people overseas or from evildoers that have independent thoughts here. It's censorship, dude. You're literally living in Orwell's dystopia, and a lot of these people don't even appear to realize it. It's weird. It's like from the outside looking in, we're like, what the fuck are you people doing to your once proud culture? It doesn't make any sense. And it's not out of malice that we mock and ridicule these idiots in your government. It's out of a sense of camaraderie and brothership. It's like, oh, the UK, sort of Papa UK and Mama France, it's a long-standing sort of thing, especially for the United States. Looking at the UK, it's bonny old England, or what the fuck ever. Foggy dystopian England. And yet, your political establishment there wants to apparently grind you down into literal slaves. It's like they're not even being opaque about it anymore. It's very, very transparent. It's just that they use a lot of family-friendly labels, like this MP using the 1984 Newspeak. Oh, it's not censorship. It's just holding people to the right standards. Well, no, it's censorship, and when you invoke UK's journalism, your journalists are already muzzled. They don't investigate anything. Look at the Rotherham cases there. They don't dare to investigate. They'll be called bigots if they investigate wrongdoing by your government or by your police or by certain groups of people based on their race or gender or national origin or whatever. We can't cover this story, dude. We'll get muzzled by the judiciary. Again, just like Tommy Robinson, he gets railroaded into jail, and for the first 48 hours, the judge muzzles the whole press successfully. The only people there were content creators. People I've talked to in the UK, they wouldn't talk about the story. They're like, yeah, I've got mouths to feed. Now, Sargon was one of them. It's like, yeah, I would love to talk about it, but I can't right now. I'm going to have to wait until this gag order's gone. People in the US and other parts of the world literally had to do the journalism and the investigation for people within the UK. This, by the way, is the true reason why they don't want people like Lauren Southern entering the UK. They're not subject to those laws. They're not part of the UK's press. They can report at a whim, even from within the UK, which means, unfortunately, you could have international journalism take place, in which people that are shielded from the UK's draconian journalism, anti-free speech laws, go to the UK and do investigative journalism, and they're not breaking any law. They're not bound by the dictate of the UK's court system because they're not registered as journalists in the UK, but they can still do journalism. That's really what it's about. That's why the anti-terror provisions were invoked with regards to Southern and other people within the UK. You do realize that, right? They're fucking terrified. They're terrified of a bunch of YouTubers. That's what it boils down to. It's hilarious to me. Now, this is just a further attack on free speech. And it goes to show, just because the EU is collapsing doesn't really, on its head, help anyone. We should be looking to nations like civilized nations like Hungary, Poland, Italy, places like that are beginning to advance towards, classical liberalism and away from authoritarianism while being called fascists by the actual fascists. Very, very funny. We should be looking to them for models that should be applied to all of Europe. Yeah, people should be able to speak freely. They should arm up. They should defend themselves, and they should defend their freedom. Defend their right to speak. And, the concept of free speech doesn't protect, innocuous, mundane speech. Specifically, the very concept only protects what is taboo, what is extreme in some cases, what is objectionable, bigoted, hateful. That's the only speech you need to protect. You don't need to protect someone's right to say, oh, I like chicken more than I like beef. Oh, I like the color green's my favorite color. No, I don't really like wearing suits. I prefer t-shirts. Those are mundane speech. Nobody has a problem with that. But when somebody comes out and says, well, this political party I think is a bunch of bullshit and it's the ruling political party, that's really when you need free speech. The right to dissent against your own government, to investigate things, to question things. To question reality. The concept of fake news, it's a non-existent concept. It's just the challenging of the status quo mentality on certain issues. It's like they call it climate deniers or something. No, it's people that question the mainstream establishment explanation of climate change. Labeling it fake news or conspiracy theory or whatever, that's just a form of censorship and propaganda in the most literal sense. People still throw these terms around, literally linguistically handicapping themselves in the process. They need to do is modernize the whole lingo and do it for libertarianism, preferably. But it won't happen. The UK is continuing to become more dystopian over time. I feel very, very badly for the people of the UK having to deal with this fucking bullshit. Because it's clear, this MP doesn't even know how the internet works. She's just like another, out of touch, moralistic soccer mom pearl clutcher from a communist party in everything but name. And she doesn't even know how the tech world works. It's pretty sad. Most of the people around the world making decisions with regards to the internet don't even really understand the internet. Oh, that might be why we have problems right now with the internet. That's about all. Peace out.